Hey, what is up guys? It's Super User Stan back with another video, and in this one I want to test out the autofocus noise of the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8 lens I've got here. I literally just unboxed it just now, and I'm really curious to find out how bad is the autofocus noise on my setup. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there that test out the noise, but they don't really go into the camera that they've got, or if they're using a lens adapter, or what exact microphone they've got. So I've been kind of curious because I'm thinking maybe lens adapter might have some kind of impact to the noise, and depending on your microphone, I'm sure that would make a big impact as well. So the exact setup I've got right here is a Canon C200, which is going to be mounted directly to this EF version of this lens, and a Rode NTG3 shotgun mic, which is mounted in the default position for this camera. So we'll be able to see how well this lens performs with this exact setup. As a baseline, right now I've got a Canon EF lens, 16 to 35 f4L lens that I've been using with the C200. We'll use that as a baseline for the noise tests. What we'll do is a in-body microphone test for the C200, and then followed up with the NTG3 shotgun mic mounted on top of the body. So let me get this lens mounted on the camera and we'll begin. All right, now you can probably already tell this is the internal mic with the Sigma lens. So this is the Canon lens with the internal mic. And now we're going to be switching to the next one. This is back to the Sigma lens with the NTG3. All right, now back to the Canon. One last thing is I actually noticed that the changing of the aperture gives off some noise too, so let's listen to that. let's talk about some conclusions here. So I actually expected the Sigma lens to do a lot worse than it really did. Clearly, if you're going to be using the internal mic on your camera, it's going to be bad. And no matter which lens you use, it's probably going to be bad. But if you use a really good high quality shotgun mic, that's got some distance from the actual lens and it's got really good rejection of side noise, I was actually pretty hard pressed to hear any of the noise from the lens. And I was really cranking up the noise or the volume on my desktop to hear it. Now, certainly you can hear a little bit of the lens, and you know it's really it's not the actual focus move, but like the very fine tuning at the very end of the focus move. You can hear a little bit of the clicking. It's kind of disappointing that the lens does have such a loud focusing, clicking noise, but with a good microphone, you're still able to reject like 95% of it. And I'm sure you heard it yourself. It really wasn't as bad as what some people were making it out to seem. And again, probably has to do with the setup and the either lens adapters. Again, I don't have a lens adapter. Probably that helped the noise levels. And I've got a really good mic on the camera and it's really not picking up much of the noise. So, what was actually most surprising to me was the noise from the iris going from f16 all the way down to f1.8. That actually seemed to be louder than the autofocusing noise. And for me, I'm probably going to be shooting mostly wide open at a set aperture, f1.8 or f4 or f2.8, something like that. So I'm not going to be fiddling around with the aperture all that much. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for me personally. But if you're going to be, fiddling around or changing the aperture on the fly, that's certainly going to be another consideration. Originally, when I purchased this lens, I was totally expecting to have to send it back to B&H because of the autofocus noise. But now that I've tested it out, it doesn't actually seem that bad. And I think I might actually be keeping this lens. And especially the sharpness and the quality of it. You can see my face very sharp and you can see all the imperfections and whatever, but that's kind of I'm looking for a sharp analytical lens that's got the ability to blur out the background and whatnot. So at f1.8, there's really no lens out there like this. A wide zoom with an f1.8 aperture, and seeing as the Super 35 is almost the same size as the APS-C crop sensor, it's almost ideal for the C200. Now, there is one downside, and maybe we could talk about this later in another test, but there is no image stabilization on this lens. So certainly, my use scenario is mainly going to be indoors in a studio set up with the C200 on a gimbal, on a slider, on a pan and tilt slider. So the need for image stabilization isn't as great. It's not going to be so much of a vlog lens for me or a run and gun lens. So for me, this lens is pretty much ideal for my use scenario. I'll make sure to link this lens in the description down below with my Amazon affiliate link. If you want to actually purchase this lens, you can go ahead and click that if you want. No big deal. Hopefully this was useful for you, because I was looking all over YouTube trying to find a good example of my setup here being able to test the noise, and I just had to throw in the towel and purchase this lens myself to be able to test to see what kind of noise I get out of this autofocusing on this lens, and I was pleasantly surprised. So anyway, hopefully this was useful for you too. If it was, please hit that like button and perhaps consider subscribing for future videos on this lens or other tech videos. I'll see you in the next one.